So one of the more powerful parts of Moodle is its ability to give the students assignments that they can both do, it can grade for you, and the students can get feedback with relatively low amount of work from you once you set it up. So when we want to add something like this, okay, so I've got my editing on, and I'm going to go to the block where I want it. I'm going to click Add an Activity or Resource, and then I'm going to pick the Quiz module. It's probably mislabeled. Quiz seems pretty specific, but it's more general than that. A quiz can be used, as it says here, for anything from a homework assignment to an actual exam or quiz, or even just a self-assessment. So we're going to click on Quiz, and then I'm going to hit OK. In the next video, we'll talk about building the quiz, but now let's talk about just setting up the quiz, because there's a lot of options. It's these options that make it pretty powerful for you. So I'm going to give it a name. That name's going to appear on the main Moodle page. And for each of these, there's some decisions I can make. The first one is timing. Two things about timing. One, if you enable an open and close period, this means that nobody will be able to take the quiz until a certain date, and nobody will take, including time, and nobody will be able to take the quiz after a certain date and time. So that's useful if you want to have it as a homework assignment, but you don't want somebody to do it way ahead of time. Time limit is also pretty useful. I would say in general it makes sense to enable it, unless you really don't care how long the students spend on it. So if you enable it, you can give it a time limit. Let's say you're going to give it 10 minutes. And then that means that after 10 minutes, they have to submit it. Or you can say there's a grace period, or you can say anything that they're working on is automatically submitted. Okay. What this does is it allows them to spend a little bit of time on it, but not enough time to get stuck and then call their friend and talk about it with their friend, or go on the internet and look things up. So if you give a reasonable amount of time as a time limit, it makes it a little bit less likely that they're going to use other sources. But like I said, if you want them to use other sources, go ahead and take out the time limit. For the grade, one thing that you need to change is attempts allowed. You can have it allow unlimited attempts, and it'll either give them the highest grade, the average grade, the first attempt, or the last attempt. Interestingly, you could do unlimited, but still let them grade their first attempt, which means that they could take it again, but still their first one through is going to count. Or you can say you can take it twice, and I'll take the highest grade, or I'll take the average grade. Or you can say, I'll take your last attempt. So anyways, this is dependent on what kind of thing you're giving. But if you really want the students to learn, if they do poorly, you might want them to have a second chance to go through, and then maybe average the two scores that they get. So that's what the grade means. Grade category, you only have to worry about if you're using the grade book. We can talk more about that later. Layout, this is interesting. First of all, question order, you can have it shuffle randomly, which means that if there's 10 questions, Johnny might get a different order than Phil, and they're not going to get the same questions in a row. Now, if your questions have to come in a specific order, then do it as shown on the edit screen, which means the questions should come in the order that I set them up. But I think it's great for cheating if somebody can't just say, what did you get for number 4? Because number 4 means different things for different students. Also, a new page. Okay, you can have all the questions on one page. You could have every question gets its own page. You can have a page every 2 questions, or a page every 3 questions. I think every question makes more sense. If you want to be paranoid, it's a little bit more work for a student to copy the screen and sort of like share it with other people, because each question has its own page. So they'd have to do a screen capture for each page of your homework. Okay. So but more importantly is this idea of whether you want to shuffle the questions or you want them to be shown in order. Question behavior is interesting because you can shuffle within the questions. This means that if you're doing something like multiple choice, for one student, A, B, C, D, all 4 answers will be the same, and it'll keep track of what the right answer is. But for some students, the right answer will be B, and for some students, the right answers will be D, because it's going to shuffle the answers within the questions. It does the same thing with matching. So for matching, number 1 is always going to match the right answer, but that right answer is going to be at different spots. So that's a great way to stop cheating. It basically makes like an infinite amount of varieties to the test, and then it does the work of keeping track for you. How questions behave, I probably should have a whole video on just this, because there's a lot to consider here. Deferred feedback means they take the whole quiz, so they're going to do the whole homework assignment, and then at the end it's going to say, are you sure you want to submit it? And they say yes, and then it tells them what they did right or wrong. So that's called deferred feedback. We can talk more about deferred feedback when we talk about review. Okay, so let me bring the review options up too. Since you're doing deferred feedback, notice during the attempt is all grayed out. It's only immediately after the attempt. And what I can do with deferred feedback is I can say, I want you to say whether it's correct, but I don't want you to give the right answer. Or I can say, and give them the right answer. Okay? Later, while the quiz is open, it doesn't make much sense when it's immediately after, and after the quiz is closed, I mean, they can go back. Maybe you don't ever want to give the right answer, but you just want to tell them what the wrong answer was. Okay, so these are all different options. If you go to immediate feedback, that means that after they submit an individual question, they're going to find out whether it was correct or not. They're also going to find out the right answer, unless you uncheck this. So that immediate feedback might be useful if you want them to know right away that they did question 1 wrong. Now, depending on if you do this interactive with multiple tries, what it means is that they can try again on the question. Okay, so like interactive with multiple tries means after they take an individual quiz. Okay, so notice attempts allowed, that's for the assignment in general, the whole thing they can go through twice. If you set the question behavior with interactive multiple tries, when they get it wrong, it'll ask them if they want to try it again. So that's a useful thing, and I'll tell you down here where you can give what you want them to do with those multiple tries. So I would definitely, if I have interactive with multiple tries, take during the attempt right answer off. In fact, I think it's kind of strange that it's on to start with. So again, deferred feedback means they will get the quiz corrected at the end. Immediate feedback means they'll get each question corrected as they go through it. And interactive with multiple tries means that they'll get feedback after each question, and then they'll also get a chance to try it again for partial credit. The CBM, that's the confidence-based mark, which means like, I don't know, none of us, I don't think, use that. You have to say, not only do I think the answer is B, but I'm 100% sure that it's B, and then you can get it scored differently. These seem kind of specific. Okay, so your choices are whether you want deferred, immediate, or interactive with multiple tries. We're already down here. Notice all the different things you can do to control what they get in terms of feedback. Okay, the display we don't need. Extra restrictions on attempts. This is interesting. Let's say that up here you say you allow 2 attempts. You can say that they can take it again, but I'm going to make sure that they wait 20 minutes before they take the first and second try, because I want them to, I'm going to suggest that they go and reread the material or something, and so I'm going to say that they have to wait 20 minutes. It just sort of stops a student from blindly plowing right back through that quiz they just took, so that's an option. You can also say that they need a password. This would be if you wanted to have them come and see you if they wanted to take it again. That seems pretty specific. Okay. Overall feedback means that you can say if they get between 0 and 100, you should say good job. If they get between 0 and 60%, you could say, like, it looks like you need more practice. And this could be where, because you have editing tools, you could put all sorts of stuff in here. So you might even say, please do the assignment at the back of the book or something. So these boundaries, the way I think about it is if you see the two percentages, the feedback in between is what they'll get if they fall between these two ranges. So between 60 and 100% would get good job here. Between 0 and 60% would get whatever you put here. And then common module settings you don't need to know. So there's a lot there. Most of it, depending on how you use it, will be pretty similar in all your assignments. But those are the settings for the homework and the quizzes.